brought to you by Arrowhead Mountain Spring Water. Chris McGee, Byron Scott, James Worthy, Mike Bresnahan. We have Mike Trudell in Minneapolis. Lakers T-Wolves Game 3, a war as expected. The Lakers lose this one, guys, and after tying the game at 103 with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game, it was all Minnesota from there. They go on a 13-1 run. The Lakers 0 field goals made in the last 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But the story for me, unfortunately, in this game, and you guys can take it where you want to go, are the turnovers. And Stu and Bill talked a lot about it. 19 turnovers for 28 points from Minnesota. That's the most in a playoff game that we could track back to that the Lakers have ever given up. The Lakers outplayed them in a lot of ways in this game. Better from three, better in the rebounding category, shot a better percentage up until the last 4 minutes of that game. But you can't, on the road, big game, in a matchup like this, when you have a chance to get one on the road, and that's the job, is to get one. They were right there to do it. But Minnesota took advantage, and Ant closed it.
Yeah. The Lakers' mission going into Minnesota is to try to get home court advantage back. They didn't do it tonight. They still have a chance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to put this one behind you quickly and make adjustments for the next one. Geeter, the turnovers, you cannot win a game when you turn the ball over like that, especially when you're conceding 28 points off of those turnovers and 56 points in the paint. The game was, right there. It's just those timely turnovers and not making adjustments for McDaniels just ate them up. He just ate them up in the paint.
Tied a career high 30.
And so it was kind of an ugly game, a winnable game, but there were just a couple of moments where they were down 2, down 3, turnover, then that went to 5-6 point lead. So they're going to look at this, and they're not going to like it, but they had a chance to win this game. They just couldn't take care of, some departments. Turnovers is one of them.
And Byron, I'm interested to get a coach's perspective, because as a fan or just watching the game like we are, so many of those turnovers seem like careless basketball plays. A lot of them happened right under the T-Wolves basket. Like Lakers just not handling the ball and giving up an easy layup. Some of them because they dribbled in traffic or just threw bad pass. It was interesting that a lot of those were really costly ones.
Yeah, some of it was over-dribbling.
Yeah.
You try to penetrate too much, or you try to do too much with the basketball. And again, when you get to this point in time in the season, when you're in the playoff mode, turnovers are such a crucial part of the game. You have to really emphasize taking care of the ball. And the turnovers that you do have cannot lead to easy buckets on the other end. Because, again, we talked about transition defense. Make Minnesota a half-court team. If you let them get out in transition, a lot of bad things can happen. And with some of the turnovers that we had, like you said, Geeters, a lot of them were just careless passes or lazy passes. They pick them off. It's 3-on-1, 3-on-2. It's layup. It's three-point play. It's wide open three-point shots. And those are the type of situations you don't want to keep putting yourself in. And I said before the game, I said, look, there's two guys on that bench that you really got to pay attention to, Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid. I said, those are the two guys, if you can just limit their touches and their activity on the offensive end, despite the way we play, we still win that game. But when you give up 41 points combined with those two guys, it makes it that much harder.
It makes it that much harder. We saw in Game 2, when you control those guys, what the game can look like for the Lakers. I mean, Brez, when you look on the other hand, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they gave 2 turnovers at the end by not shooting, so they ended up in double digits. But they were single digits in turnovers, just 9. So that's a huge difference in the game. And also in that last 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Brez, so many empty possessions for the Lakers where they really weren't get a shot off, and they were in this game to win it. Never scored again.
Yeah, Luka scored a little over 4.5 left. Nice little 7-foot fadeaway. Lakers scored at 1 point the rest of the way. Austin Reeves free throw. 0 for 6 down the stretch for the Lakers. They're going to look at that, what happened in the half court, why did it break down? I think the really sad part for the Lakers tonight, LeBron, 38 points in 41 minutes, tack on 10 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, the guy played out of his mind, knowing probably full well Luka not feeling the greatest. Luka couldn't even start the third quarter because of whatever intestinal problems he's having. He did re-enter the game not long after that, but LeBron really put forth maximum effort, exactly what you'd be shocked to see from any other 40-year-old, not him. I feel like it's kind of a wasted loss because of that in particular.
Yeah, let's talk LeBron, and we'll talk Minnesota and Ant and McDaniels in a moment, because I think you led to a perfect thing. LeBron was great tonight, and I was going to lead with that. if this game had gone differently. You got your LeBron game. Those games that we have all seen from him for the last 22 years. I mean, he did things, shoot from half court, basically, big game. Rebounds, he did it all. Tough game to lose when LeBron gives you 38.
Well, we talked about it pregame. He's locked in. You know, the Lakers need a win. Luka not feeling well. We talked about his experience of knowing what to do and when to do it. And tonight was one of those games where he just said, look, that they need me to be assertive, knocking down threes, Geeter from half court, rebounding. He did it all. So LeBron's going to be there. He's going to be there. It's just the rest of the guys have to. And, I mean, he had a couple turnovers as well. But he's so dynamic in what he does and how he reads situations like this game tonight. He knew he had to step up, and he did. So the next game is a must-win. So you're going to see LeBron even elevate his play and his experience to another level on the next game.
Yeah, and you hope the next game, even though it's a really quick turnaround, Sunday afternoon.
12:30.
Sunday afternoon. Luka, hopefully in that next 36 hours, will be healthier and ready to play. I think the one key against Minnesota when you're playing them, especially in the fourth quarter, they're such a dynamic defensive team. You know, they're one of the only teams in the NBA in the top 5, top 10 on both offensive and defensively. So defensively, you have to make them move a little bit more, especially the last 3 or 4 minutes of a game. Because if you're stagnant with the basketball, they're just facing you. They got 5 guys damn near in the paint. And they're quick enough and they're athletic enough to be able to get out to shooters. And that's the one thing that they did. And we was talking in the room, Braz. I was saying, look, they're so good at packing the paint. Once you kick it out, you got to be in drive or attack mode instead of shooting so many threes, because now you can get to the free throw line, number 1. Number 2, that's easy points. Number 3, you stop the clock. Okay, so I think for the Lakers, especially the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, you got to do a little bit better job of movement on the offensive end to get these guys moving a little bit. And now they're chasing you off for threes, and you're able to attack a little bit more.
I'll tell you what, maybe we all underestimated the Minnesota defense coming into this. They're holding the Lakers to about 97 points over these first 3 games on average. It's not even Rudy Gobert.
No.
He's not the problem. It's the perimeter guys, harassing the Lakers. Luka obviously didn't feel great tonight, so that's more on Luka than on great Minnesota defense. But harassing the ball handlers, you said it earlier, it seemed like a lot of the Lakers' turnovers were under the Minnesota basket. That's the equivalent of fumbling over and over in your own red zone. It's like you just can't do that. And obviously that led to a lot of easy points for Minnesota. There's just one too many problems for the Lakers that they couldn't win this game. And again, a shame. LeBron's incredible effort ends in a loss. I'm
curious also, Brez, just how much it affected this Laker team. Obviously they knew Luka wasn't feeling well going in. We didn't know until Mike Trudell reported it at the beginning of the game. But you could tell he was struggling just in the way he was moving defensively. Seemed like Minnesota knew it and was going after him, but he just didn't have that same ability on offense to do what we're used to seeing him do. I mean, he ended up a minus 16. He had the 17 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, but he just wasn't able to do what I think everyone expects. And obviously LeBron and AR tried to pick up the load, but it was tough to see that from Luka.
Yeah, anytime you shoot, what did he have, 17 shots to score 17 points, whatever his final totals were, that's not the typical Luka game. Before the game, we were saying on the pregame show, he has more points through 2 games than really any other Laker in a playoff series. I mean, he was averaging 34 points a game through 2, and he just couldn't keep it up, not feeling well. Byron, like you said, super quick turnaround. Sunday, 12:30 tip here. I feel like the game's starting in like 20 minutes, James. I mean,
it's quick. It's quick. And you know what, Big M, you forget in a series there's the human element, right? I mean, a guy can get hurt, a guy can get the stomach bug, anything can happen. You guys went through it when you guys were playing. It's a long. If you play for the entire playoffs, it's too much. A lot can happen.
Yeah. Hope that you have none of those scenarios during the playoffs. But look, it happens. Stomach flu, you eat something that doesn't fit well, you got to deal with it. And unfortunately, Luka didn't have 100%, and they're just really stagnant. You're right. The ball has to move. Byron's right. When you're playing against good defenses, you got to make a move. And when the Lakers have moved the ball, when they've gotten 25, 27, assists, and everyone is touching it, and moving, your chances are better. But when they're just standing there looking at you and you're looking at them, against this good defensive team, it's going to be a nightmare.
It's hard.
Yeah, 13 more field goal attempts for the T-Wolves and only 21 assists for the Lakers. That's low.
It's low.
What we're used to seeing. All right, let's hear from J.J. Redick. He speak with Mike Trudell in the media.
JJ, the turnovers just kind of jump off the stat sheet. What did you see as a reason? Was Minnesota doing something that was forcing them, and how do you feel like that impacted the game?
Yeah, I mean, we're minus 16 in scoring opportunities. Really hard to win a basketball game in that scenario, particularly against a team that can also get hot from three, which they did in the second half. And some of that were mistakes. Some of it was shot making, down the stretch. They made threes. We didn't make threes. I thought we had some good looks. As far as the turnovers, look, they're big, they're long, they're athletic. They pressure the basketball. They make everything tough. We're going to have some turnovers. Sometimes they force you into turnovers, which they did. We had, I think it was 3 shot clock violations. But we also had some unforced turnovers, over dribbling, trying to draw fouls, dribbling into traffic, trying to do a little bit too much with the basketball. I mean, for us, we generated a lot of really good shots tonight when we didn't turn the ball over.
When did you get wind that Luka wasn't feeling himself, and how did you feel like that impacted him?
He hasn't been feeling well for the last 24 hours. So I don't know how much he slept last night. He didn't feel well last night. His stomach was bothering him. He was vomiting all afternoon. I'm not sure what happened at halftime. I'll find out, but he was really under the weather.
It was tied at 103, I think, with about 4 minutes to go, and they were able to close with that run. Was there something in that timing of the game, obviously there's some turnovers, but that you felt like it made the difference in then being able to pull away?
Well, I think Anthony Edwards made a number of really good plays. I think the one that really stands out was, the empty side when he raced the secondary defender. We ended up having to bring a low man, so we had basically 3 guys on him. I believe it was Naz Reid made the 3 from the left wing. Yeah. Then he makes a tough shot, but we're trying our best not to give up off the dribble threes to him in isolation. I mean, that's what he does. He shoots 10 a game, and he's elite off the dribble. So he just makes it hard. He's obviously very aggressive, and I don't want to oversimplify things, but on the road, especially with this crowd, the turnovers and then the sort of ignition that gets for the building and them scoring off that, and us not being able to sort of deflate the energy in the crowd is big.
You mentioned earlier in the answer, you mentioned that one sequence, but just overall in the game, what did you see from him in terms of how he attacked your guys' defense? I know it was a big talking point coming to the night. It seemed like, at least from my view, he did better just in terms of how he attacked you guys, in terms of patience, playmaking, I guess the total package. Yeah,
I mean, I think it was across the board, and it wasn't just him. We couldn't contain the ball tonight. Our closeouts in the first quarter were god-awful, and I thought we did a better job in the second quarter, and then he just got into the teeth of our defense too much. The fact is we don't have quote unquote rim protection, and so if you give up blow bys, we're gonna give up something. We're gonna give up a 3, or we're gonna give up a shot from him at the rim. So again, he ended up with 29 on 26 shots. I think the playmaking was there again tonight, like it was in game 1. I think some of that, we did make it tough on him at times, but then you had McDaniels just absolutely kill us.
JJ, what did you make of LeBron's performance in the first half? He surpassed his individual game 1 and game 2 scoring output, but just doing everything on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, he's moving better. He seems like he's getting healthier by the day. It's typically a 1 to 2 week injury, and he's I believe it's been 2 weeks tonight, if I'm not mistaken, from the Houston game. So clearly he's moving better.
JJ, how can you guys, you mentioned the lack of rim protection. I mean, McDaniel's been particular, right? Like, seemed to be even more focused on it. I think he said something after game 1. Does that work have to be done on the perimeter? How can you guys be better at the rim, knowing kind of the size limitations that and vertical limitations you guys have?
Yeah, I think it's just we've done it all year. When we've been at our best, we've been able to be physical on the ball and not allow blow-bys, and also have sort of a cover mentality, multiple effort, and it was there at times tonight. It's not to say our guys, I mean, they exerted a lot of effort. They played hard, but the sort of early throw-aheads, the offensive rebounds, I think we had 2 where we collected a rebound, we get back tapped, we give up a point. It's just, again, it's those things really, really acute.
1-2 third pass to LeBron for the jam.
Remind me, how old is he?
40.
Yeah, 40. Okay, I just wanted to be reminded. Damn.
40.
Wow.
Austin Reeves scored 20 points in the loss. He's speaking with Mike in the media.
Austin, what did you feel like the difference was tonight?
They won the possession battle, and then our 19 turnovers for 28 points, offensive rebounds. So it's hard to win anytime you give up, double-digit more opportunities to score. So we got to clean that up.
Clearly, Luka wasn't feeling well. JJ said he was throwing up all day. What did you see from him, and how did you and LeBron try to, take on a little bit more with him, not feeling well out there?
Yeah, I just seen him. He gave it everything he had tonight. Played 39, 40 minutes. Did everything he could do to help us win. We had an opportunity. I think it was one possession game with 3 minutes left, and we just couldn't get it done.
What was the feeling like amongst you guys just now in the locker room, knowing that you were 3 minutes away from maybe going ahead in the series and looking ahead at Game 4 Sunday, quick turnaround?
Yeah, mood's good. We see the spots where we have to be better to win games, and we'll have to fix that on Sunday.
Austin, with some of the threes that you guys gave up in the fourth, did you see any trends in terms of, was it over helping or doubling on certain situations, or what did you see in terms of how they got some of those looks?
I'll have to go back and watch the film. That's all I can really give you right now.
When we spoke with JJ, he mentioned that ball containment is especially important for you guys because you guys don't have a traditional rim protector. How much did you feel that Anthony Edwards was able to better exploit that tonight compared to the first 2 games and the way that he attacked your guys' defense?
Ant's a really good player. He's going to play in this league for a long time, make a lot of money, get a lot of buckets, win a lot of games. So, that's what good players do. They figure it out. And we'll have to go back to the drawing board and see what we can do to slow him down. And
on Spectrum Sports Mix. Let's talk a little Ant Edwards, guys. We got Brez joining us again, and big game. He was magnificent in that fourth quarter, especially down the stretch. He was the closer in this game. He ended up with 29 and made some big-time plays, also kicking that ball back out to Naz Reid. Had a big defensive play on Rui as well.
Yeah. Edwards is a young kid that's learning the game really fast. LeBron is a hero, and some of the guys that he played on that Olympic team with, he's trying to model their example by being a leader. And I think he's on his way, Geeter. Very poised, under control, knocked down a 3. And it seems like he can get to the bucket anytime he wants to get that little layup because he's stronger, he elevates, and he's quick. So he's a tough one to deal with. I thought in Game 2 they did a good job of containing him. Not bad tonight early on, but then he got loose in the second, third, fourth quarter and really took control of the game in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I thought in the fourth quarter especially, when the game was on the line, Anthony Edwards was at his best. Even when the Lakes tried to double team him, at the three-point line and further out, he was able to break the containment, get to the basket, or find other guys. And that's the sign of just a great basketball player that was determined to make sure that they wasn't going to lose this game tonight. So You got to give him a lot of credit. You got to go back to the drawing board if you're the Lakers on how you're going to defend this guy, especially when the game is on the line. Who you going to run at him? Again, because once you run at him, if he breaks that containment, now you're in big trouble because now it's 4 against 3. And that's when he was able to really look to attack. And he was spectacular tonight. You got to give him a lot of credit.
It's kind of funny. After game 2, he got to the post-game press conference. He was chuckling. He's like, that defense confused me a little bit. He did not seem confused tonight. I think that's for sure. Although it did take him 26 shots to get to that 29 points. One underrated part of his game so far in the series, assists. 8 tonight, 9 in game 1. So he really is their point guard as well. I know, obviously, Mike Conley starts at the position. He's pretty old, so he plays as much as he can throughout the course of a game, but Ant taking on the scoring and distributing role for this team right now, Geet.
Back to Minnesota, Dorian Finney-Smith is speaking with Mike in the media.
Dorian, a couple guys, Austin and JJ, have talked about the turnovers, a kind of an obvious thing that stood out. But like when you were out there in this smaller lineup, what is the difficulty in keeping Minnesota out of the paint, and then kind of trying to find ways to protect the rim, without that specific lineup?
Just got to do a better job of stand in front of the ball. I feel like we were just giving up too many blow-bys. It really ain't had nothing to do with our size. It was just probably the on-ball defense and rotation outside of when we got to scramble. I feel like we didn't have the sense of urgency the whole game, and they did, and they made some big shots at the end of the game.
Yeah, you guys did do that in game 2. It seemed like that was part of the difference. Do you feel like that's in there? Can you get that back for game 4?
For sure. We had some live ball turnovers too. It's some free throw. We shot a free throw and they got a layup. So it's just a bunch of things we can control. I think they would have got 14 more attempts. 13 more shots attempts at the rim than us. So they won the possession game. We just got to do a better job collectively.
Despite the disparity in turnovers and also them doubling you up in points in the paint, it's still a tied game with 4 minutes to go. How do you guys let go of the feeling of frustration that you could have got one to just make all the focus be about game 4 on Sunday?
That's the positive way of looking at things. We, like you said, we was battling. Even though we wasn't playing as well, it was a tie game. With 4 minutes left, we gave ourselves a chance, especially on the road, tie game for them. You can't ask for no better situation in the playoffs. But they just made all the right plays at the end of the game. And we did.
So we obviously know Luka was going through the stomach bug and throwing up before the game and whatnot. You know him as well as anyone. You've talked about how he hates to miss games, hates he'll play through whatever he can. What did you see from him tonight, just in terms of gutting through that performance?
Man, just him fighting, man. He was fighting, trying to be there for us. I didn't think he was gonna come out second half, and he. I looked at his elbow. He had like a big knot on his elbow. I was like, God damn, you sick and you getting beat up still. So he's just a tough guy. I know he want to win. He'll be ready next game.
You mean you didn't really come out of that?
Halftime, yeah. No, just because how he sound. His body language, how he look. He look a little pale today.
For this Laker team.
He's become like a huge thorn in the side for Minnesota. With his size, he's very active, Geeter. He's not afraid to take it to the cup, go into traffic. He's got a nice mid-range game from about 8 feet. He can pull up and shoot the jumper. So we haven't found anybody on the Lakers unit that can combat with that. Mm-hmm. And so nobody yet. And so that's a problem because he's not the guy that normally you have to worry about. Mm-hmm. Him getting what? Career high tonight. That's not good. Jaden, 30. Julius had 22 and 29 for Edwards. They're not used to getting 30 from McDaniels. Nope. So he's a great player, very active. If you don't match it, he'll take advantage of you.
Yeah, he plays hard. I mean, he's, like you say, he's a thorn in your side because he guards multiple positions. He's long, he's athletic. The one thing you don't see him doing is making bad decisions offensively. He doesn't take bad shots. He takes what you give him. He has the ability to put the ball on the floor, 2-3 dribbles, and get to his spot. You know, so I think, you know, game 2, they did a great job of controlling him, and Naz Reid as well, the two of the guys who I think are two of the keys, you know, for this team. So they got to go back to the drawing board on how to defend him. They got to find somebody who can match his energy and have that length and that athleticism on him to combat what he does. But the biggest thing is, you know, I thought tonight he came out with a lot more confidence than he did in game 2. You know, so we got to make sure that this guy is not the X factor, so to speak, for Minnesota.
Tell you what, Rudy Gobert is averaging 3 points a game in this series. So someone on the Timberwolves has to kind of make up for that. I think we found our guy, Jaden McDaniels. I said it before, game 2, this guy can score. Back in January, February, they had a bunch of injuries. Julius was hurt. Gobert was hurt. DiVincenzo was hurt. So Jaden McDaniels, for a whole month, averaged about 18 points a game. So he has shown this season some sort of short-term scoring chops that he's really not known for. This guy's an all-NBA defender, but right around the midpoint of the season, and definitely in this first round, he is showing that, indeed, he can score the ball.
All right, let's go to break. We're waiting on LeBron.
And then Jaden on just both sides of the ball, just how do you see him growing here?
Just a monster. You know, I think this is a career high for him. You know, couldn't come at a better time. In the flow, everything. He was super aggressive. We found him. I thought he and Julius did an excellent job, like, setting the tone today. Just being aggressive, playing with a lot of force, and then battling their matchup. Of course, they had the two tough matchups out there. And just fighting and fighting. LeBron had a heck of a game going, and, you know, Julius just kept battling him, and, you know, we got him to miss at the right time down the stretch, you know, fortunately for us.
All right, here's the bracket again. Oklahoma City up 3-0 on the Grizz. Clippers up 2-1 on the Nuggets. Timberwolves 2-1 on the Lakers. Game 4 will be Sunday, and the Rockets Warriors at 1-1. James, you had mentioned this at halftime. Points in the paint was a big one as the Lakers outscored by about 30 in that department.
Yeah, points in the paint. Also connected to that was second chance points as well. So, yeah, you cannot win a game when you're giving up that many points in the paint and turning the ball over. What was it, 28 points off of the Lakers turnover. So, not having, a big is not the problem. It's the activity of 5 people together. And with the Lakers playing that small, all 5 guys have to be involved in the paint, rebounding, making it congested in there. It has to be a team effort. I know they're floating on the perimeter a little bit, but when the ball goes up, you got to crunch back in there and get some of those long rebounds.
Yeah, and I think obviously, 30-point difference in the paint, a lot of that is contributed to the turnovers as well. We turned the ball over. They were getting out on the fast break, getting layups, in transition. So, again, those are things you can't control. There are certain things you can control in the game. Your effort, obviously, you can control your passes and things of that nature. I mean, just don't be lazy with the ball at this particular time of the year. That orange thing is very valuable, and you gotta accept the fact that, hey, if I do turn it over, you got to make the effort to make sure you get back and not allow an easy basket, make them a half-court basketball team. Yeah, the Lakers have 38 hours till game 4 tips off. I imagine there'll be a lot of film study. They're not going to have a practice tomorrow, really, just maybe a walkthrough, a little team meeting. And that's one of the things I have to talk about. Why do we keep coughing up the ball under our own basket? And why are we giving up so many points in the paint, whether it's on the fast break or after a turnover? Because those do count as points in the paint if you score on a breakaway layup. And just generally speaking, in the half-court offense, Julius Randle is averaging about 24 points in this series, 25 points. He's really super. And after the game, you join us for all your post-game interviews and highlights. 38 points for LeBron. He's speaking with Mike.
LeBron, I'm sure at some point you noticed Luka wasn't feeling like himself. Do you then have to kind of ramp up certain things in your game in the scoring, and how did you feel like that impacted the night overall?
I mean, well, obviously, with his illness, it impacts our team. We understand what he brings to our team and what he's done since the acquisition. So, it definitely took a big blow for our team.
You've been down 2-1 before in a series on the road. What are the most important things you guys have to do to bounce back for that game 4?
We got to control the controllables, and I don't think we did that tonight. Obviously, 19 turnovers on the road is not going to be a good ingredient for winning. Giving up 30 points, off those turnovers. They had 20+ points. And transition as well. So, we got to control the controllables, and if we do that, we give ourselves a good chance to win.
You've shown an appreciation for Ant Edwards' game when you've been asked about him over the years. Tonight, you guys were able to, I guess, enjoy like a joyful, competitive nature between the two of you, and then he just was able to kind of just control the action at the end. How tough is he at this stage of his career to contend with in a playoff situation?
Well, I mean, obviously, you're only as great as your teammates, allow you to be as well. And obviously, you guys know how much praise I have for Ant and his development over the years. And, we had a hell of a summer, and I love everything about Ant. But in the course of a playoff series and things of that nature, when you have your guy step up for you, it allows you to be able to crack the seams of defenses throughout the course of the game. And I thought, the game ball went to Jaden McDaniels. He had 30 and he was aggressive from the start to the finish. I mean, I can't remember the last time he took over 20 shots. So that just lets you know what his mindset was. And Ant was just Ant. So.
LeBron, you guys tied the game at 103 with 4:37 left. They closed the game on a 13-1 run. I know you referenced some of the miscues, but was there anything that stood out over the final 4.5 minutes that they were able to do to create that separation?
I can remember some plays, but not all of them. But I'll have to take a look at the film. Obviously, I think it was a tie game. You said 103. Ant hit the 3, right? Top of the key. We came back down. I believe missed a shot. And then Ant drove baseline and found Nas for another 3. I guess I can't remember, huh? No, they just made plays, man. We had opportunities. I think Rui had some good looks. AR had a good look as well. We just couldn't make them go.
LeBron, I think it was in mid-January, after a loss to the Clippers, you and JJ talked about how the margins at that point in time were really tight. You guys have been able to create margins since the Luka trade. Did tonight feel like a night with Luka not at full strength, with the turnovers sort of mounting? Do you feel like the margins you guys just eventually ran out of room?
Well, yeah, first of all, in the postseason, there is no room for error. In the regular season, you're able to make up for certain things throughout the course of a regular season where you can have a little bit of room for error, but when our team was constructed at one point, then in the regular season, we didn't have much room for that as well. But in the postseason, obviously, you're not going to play a perfect game. But the more that you, make mistakes on top of mistakes on top of mistakes, things that can be controlled, then it's not going to give you an opportunity to be in the best possible chance to win. They had 13 more, goals at the rim than we did, and pretty much that could be the game right there. You have 13 more. We have 78 attempts. They had 91, and it's just with turnovers, live ball turnovers.
What do you guys need to do to get the minutes better when Jackson's on the court? What needs to happen when you guys are playing bigger to be more effective in those stretches?
We all just got to be better. Obviously, Jackson's not getting. Tonight he played 8 minutes. It's not. I say it's even enough to kind of dissect it, see what we can get out of it, obviously. But we just all need to be better. We got to rebound better. We got to screen better. We got to play with more force. When we've been really, really good, Jax has played extremely well for us. And we still believe in him and hope we can continue that going into the rest of the series.
Last two. Vando and Jordan both played more minutes tonight than they did in game 2. For Jordan, played more tonight than he did in the previous 2 games. How valuable? I know Vando struggled with fouls, but how valuable were their minutes, and what can they do? What can carry over to Game 4? They
just bring toughness, man. They bring toughness. They can guard multiple positions. Vando rebounds with the best of them. Goody can guard multiple positions. It brings us toughness. And obviously, versus Minnesota, they got a bunch of bigger wings. They're very got a lot of length out there, a lot of stronger guys. So it helps to just have that activity. And that demeanor when those guys get in the game.
LeBron doesn't need a post-game show to say what decided the game. The 91 field goal attempts to 78 and the 19 turnovers for 28 points.
Yep, that was it, Gator. I think even as inconsistent as it was, there were still moments when they had a chance to, do something and then they turn it over.
Yeah.
And unforced turnovers, too.
Yeah, and I think LeBron said it best.